Hi everyone, you might recognize this game. We were here before and then things went a little bit awry here and there, but we're back. The idea initially was that we were doing a Minecraft texture pack and we were going bit by bit and updating the textures, and we only got to one texture. We only did the stick, and I'm not sure how long it's been since then, but I've got a new idea. I've got a new approach, and it was recommended. I'm not sure. I don't remember by who. And oh, hold on. I just realized this. Well, hold on. Let me just, there we go. No longer can you see the chat. And it was recommended to do some sort of series where everything we can see is what we update the texture of. So, for example, here, and we'll probably go into survival at some point, but you can see there's water, there's gravel here, there's grass, more grass and trees and all of those things. So, what we'll be doing today to start things off is we'll try to update the grass texture here. And if we have time, we'll see, maybe do the grass texture and the stone texture. I'm thinking those two textures will probably be the biggest change. But to begin, before we start, let's set the base ground and our goals of what we're trying to do, what type of texture pack we're trying to make. I've never made one of these before, but I thought it could be a fun series to do. I did think it back then, but you see where we're at now, don't you? So here on the idea board, what you should be able to see is previous studies and textures and drawings, and you know, I still do like this little twig here, but it's been modified, it's been changed, and it's going to be less of a study and more just a creation idea. Recently, we did a fun challenge of doing themes around Valentine's Day, and those came out pretty well despite not looking at other textures. So I'm going to try to do that too, where I create these without looking at any pixel art references, and we'll see how far we get. With that said, I initially had this idea here of doing something fantasy, doing something high saturated, and what you'll see is I've also brainstormed some games that have that feel that I'm going for. We have 3 games on here. We have Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and I really like the way the woods work. The wood where it looks, the trees, this green sort of fantasy in another world. That's what I want to go for, this kind of high greens and limes and warm yellows. That's the feel I'm hoping to go for. We also have the game Genshin Impact. Again, this one's a little bit different, and I'd say this is more of a cooler green compared to these warmer greens here, but the feel of fantasy and this mesa look and things of that nature is what I really want to go for, something like this. And then lastly, for inspiration, we have the slime. We have Slime Rancher, and again, I'm hoping you see a pattern for the idea I want to go with here. Something bright, something pop, something warm and saturated of a feel. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Another issue I had was I wasn't sure how to color the grass texture, but I now know how to do it, so we can get started with that. Here we are. If you remember from my texture pack video, I talked about how I use a program called Eagle to sort my files if I can manage to sort them, and I talked about how to add all of the images here and go into file managers and resources and things of that nature, and what we'll be doing and how I figured out how to understand making a making a foliage, grass, things of that nature, is that you have to modify these guys, apparently. You have to change the values of them, so we'll give that a try. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I highlight these guys. You'll be able to find this if you go to Assets, Minecraft, go into Textures, then go into Color Map. You should find these guys. And then the other one you should be able to find is if I go into, let's see here. You know what? I think I can just do the tags I set. I set current tags here. If I double click that, here we are, all the grass textures. And if you click on this guy, it should show us the file location, I think. I'm still learning this program itself. We're in the blocks folder. Can I click that and show us where we are? Lovely, I can. So the grass textures, you'll be able to find them by going to Assets, Minecraft, Textures, Block, and it'll be right here. And I believe the textures that we will have to modify here is going to be the foliage, the grass block, grass blocks. No, we don't need that. I'll remove that from current. I think it's these. I don't think it'll be dry foliage, so we'll also remove that from current. I think it'll be these 4, but let's go ahead and try it. Never done this before. Let's start off by just modifying the grass and see how that works. Right now, that green's not the kind of green we're going for, so I'll go ahead and I'll bring you into Ace right here. So if I go into, let's see, here in Ace right, what I can do is I can drag and drop this image, and if I do this guy here, we should get our foliage look. And what I'm gonna guess is we just need to change the color to be a color we like. And I thought about looking up a, a texture, not texture pack, a palette to use, but I think it could be a lot more fun to create our own palette. So what we'll also go ahead and do is we'll go new sprite, or actually let's do this instead. Let's make a new sprite like this and figure out our colors. We know we want to go for fun, warm colors, and one thing you can also do too is that if you're starting out with making palettes, looking at images, grabbing those colors is a great way to get started. For example, if I go ahead and copy this guy, go to File, New, and I grab this copied guy, so if I click you here and click you here, I can drag and drop into the Genshin Impact colors, and then I can start off by saying, okay, I like this green, and we can take a look at where the greens are. You could even use this as a stopping point. It's a fun way, and then, oh, are those? I didn't even know they had dinosaurs. My! It's been ages since I played the game. I like this color here, kind of like maybe this color to start off, maybe more of a warmish green. There's this really dark green. So we have this color here we can choose for our areas. And then, let's see, if I go back into here, there's also this Breath of the Wild image that I will grab. So this color here, File, and then do New again, and we can see the different greens and work off of that, though. Sprite is freezing, so give it a moment. If it doesn't, oh, no, we're good. Lovely. Click on OK here and paste that in, and we should get the image again. And once more, let's take a look at these greens. I really like this bright green. Granted, it is the lighting that's making it a big difference, and I want my texture pack to work with shaders and without shaders, but still look nice with shaders. So we have this color here, and let's just start grabbing colors. I think to have as a base ground, maybe we can have some sort of gray. So I'll go ahead and save this file as. So I'll save this file. I'll be right back. Okay, it's been saved, so we should be good to go. With that said, why don't we go ahead and continue? What I was saying was, let's start off with this kind of creamy color for our background area and go off of that. We have this background guy. I'll also move this over here so that the background preview can be seen. With that said, there is this green we can see. So this one right here. There's also, if we're looking at these colors, there's this green we can see. So I'll go ahead and grab that one too. There is also, if we're looking at these guys here, click that guy. There's also this green, and I see a few more greens. We kind of have like this autumny yellowish green, so I'll click on you here, and we'll go ahead and use our brush here. This green, there's that green. I do like that green, though it's not very highly saturated, is it? And I do enjoy doing this method of first looking at examples, since it gives me a good idea of what the feel of the art is I'm going for. So it's a thing of, okay, I like these greens, I don't like these greens, and looking around, so I might go for something like this, like a spring onion green, and then we can go ahead and close our images here. So to start off, I think we'll just change the color of the grass and get the general feel of where our grass, what our grass will look like, and go from there. I'm thinking maybe we can up the saturation a little bit more, maybe something like this, and maybe we go for that color. Though, if we're going for something more on the, what is it called? More on the foresty side, maybe a foresty green like this, though. I like the warm greens. So I think a warm, dark green can maybe work. We can go for something like that. And with that said, what I'll do is I will grab a screenshot of this guy. So I'll go ahead and grab this guy here. And then I'll open up PureRef so you can see it on my screen. So if I click on here, PureRef, you should be able to see it. I'll make this guy a little bit smaller like that. Drag it down so I can see it, and then drag it over so you can see it. So our PureRef can go about here. Should be good to go. Lovely. With that said, I can then paste this guy here, and we can get a good general idea of the colors we want to use. But what we do now is we go back over to this color, as I always on top here. We'll go then back to our grass block color here, this guy here. And this should be how our grass gets color if I am understanding this correctly. So what we'll go ahead and do is see if we can get these colors to feel more like these colors. That's the hope here. So I'll go ahead and actually, how can we do this? Let's change this background. We'll convert it to a layer here. Then we'll go ahead and separate these two layers, paste you into here. And I wonder if we can just modify it from here instead. Let's first try idea number one. I'll also duplicate that so it doesn't get removed should it need to be, or should we make a mistake. One method I enjoy doing is I usually would go to edit, if it lets me, edit, and then I go into adjustments and I either change the hue, the saturation. Hue changes the color. So if I go left and right, it'll change the color of these areas here. So like a purpley color. We could do a dark green, but we want to keep this, maybe go a little bit more towards our orangey colors. We can up our saturation, we can lower our saturation, make it a little bit more pale, and I'm not sure what we want to go for quite yet. Something like this feels like it could be a good idea, maybe up the saturation a little bit more though. I don't quite enjoy this red. Maybe we can go for something like this. I can click OK, and now we've gone from this color to this color. Let's see if that's an improvement. I'll go ahead and I'll make sure to save this grass PNG, and then I'll pull it in the game. So I'll be right back and we'll load it into the game. Alrighty, the texture pack is loading. It says the following resource packs are incompatible with sodium. Okay, give me a second. I have no idea what broke. I just re-downloaded the file, and I'll link it as well in the description on what file I downloaded. It was a blank template file, and if I click here, you'll be able to see resources. So the what I made duplicated didn't work. So I just duplicated the file template pack, added the grass texture, added the grass texture, and now for some reason it wants to load. So okay, fine. All right, moment of truth. Let's take a look here. We have, I think it worked. Possibly. If we also make sure to up our brightness. Do we have our brightness up? Okay, we do. Lovely. Yeah. Does it look like the grass is different? I can't quite tell. If we remove the template copy, go back to default, does the grass look different? We can say it does, doesn't it? It looks a lot brighter. Well, yeah, but we want more saturation. We want to ramp up the saturation. We can even do a comparison between the two that we can see if I grab these two and I merge them together. There we are. Okay, what you can see now is this is our modified version. It kind of reminds me of a swamp versus the regular Minecraft look. And what I'm realizing right away is that this doesn't have enough saturation. It's not that look, the colors kind of do look similar, but I think we can tweak it a little bit more. So let's try to do that. I'll bring you back into Ace right here, and let's see. So if this guy needs to be tweaked, as we had this here and this here, let's go ahead and see, what if we were to do a new layer, and then, okay, hold on, grab this guy here. I should be able to do select and then do, let's see, inverse. Fill this guy in on top here. And what I'm thinking is, if we just make a multiply layer or some sort of darken or some sort of other color, we can do lighten, we can do darken, and just change it depending on that. So maybe let's try this color instead. So we're gonna go from this to this. Let's give that a try. I'll go ahead and export it, bring you back into Minecraft. And survey says, what do we have? It's loading. We get this, which is interesting. It definitely gives the feel I want a lot more. It's a lot more poppy. It's not too in your face, wild and wacky, but I think it's just got enough saturation to give it a little bit of a oomph. And just for comparison again, what I can do is take a screenshot here and we can look at the difference. So if I enable PRF, what you should be able to see is regular Minecraft. This was the initial idea, suggestion, and then we have this one. I definitely think this is the grass color we want to go for. So let's just go ahead and quickly also update the other ramp so that the colors are within that area. And to do that, I don't think that'll be too difficult, I say, and then it's very painful. But if we go ahead and drag and drop our next item here, our foliage, what are we seeing? If I go into our, let's see here, our grass guy here, this is what the grass looks like regularly. And if we go into foliage, what are we noticing? There's kind of a light color here and then a darker color here. So it makes me wonder if I just grab our initial color here, we can go ahead and merge it down since we know this is the color we want to go with. Grab that color, and I'm guessing maybe this is going to be the cooler color. So I'll go ahead and, oh, undo, hold on. We don't want to do that just yet. Convert to layer, then we'll make a new layer, paste this over top, and then we'll go ahead and select, and again, we'll do the inverse. So no, we're good to go there. Lovely. So let's see about grabbing this guy here. So I'll grab him, make him his own layer, and then we'll add another color in on top. Now, I'm gonna guess that this is supposed to be a cool green. So if I just go ahead here and do an adjustments, let's see if we can modify it a smidge. If we go to our hue and saturation, let's make the hue maybe more of a bluish color. So maybe blue or green on here, something in this area about, maybe there. We can up the saturation too. So maybe we can make it more in this area. And then if we click OK, apply, save all of that. If we go back into here, let's see, should it be modified? It should in our files. And if we go back into Minecraft, let's see, if I click on you here, does it work? Survey says, we can't tell. Maybe if I, hold on, options, video settings, or no, resource pack. I know there's a way to reload the resource pack in game. Let me go check. Yes, there is, F3 plus T. So if we do F3 plus T, should reload it. Let's see if that fixes it. It does, I think. I definitely think it gives it a bit of a punch. Now, I'm curious to know if we were to teleport to a different biome. So let's see, / teleport space, me. Can we go to a different biome, I wonder? I don't know. Let me also check that. Okay, so there is. What you do is you would do the command of locate biome and then the biome you're looking for. In our case, for example, if we wanted to go to the cherry biome, I click on this guy here, click on enter, and where do we go? And good news is I also grabbed our world spawn, so that should be fine. We are in a block / game mode spectator. Let's see where we're at. Lovely. Okay, yeah. I definitely think we're going to have to modify some of these colors. This bright green is good to go in my render distance. Hold on. This is not good. I can't see a thing. How do I end up my render distance? Options, video settings, full resolution render distance. Where's my render distance at? Previous, custom, cloud chunks, render distance. Just update it a little bit so I can see. There we go. That makes it better, doesn't it? So if we're looking at this, I don't like how faint the cherry biome is. It doesn't have that pop compared to everything else. And what I wonder is it because we'd have to change the certain texture of the biome? Let me look into that. Okay, so I made a discovery or two that I thought might be interesting to see. I wanted to play around with the colors to see the differences in each of them. If I bring you back into here, what you can notice is that there's a black. Look here. So this bottom part for the foliage is responsible for the foliage. It's responsible for the trees. And I wonder if this blue is then responsible for the, what is it called? The darker colors. So if I were to just hide this guy here and then inverse this, so do a new layer, select and then inverse, and then we fill that guy in, save him again, bring it back to Minecraft, so back into here. If we spawn in a darker tree, for example, what would it be? Like a tundra or, yeah, like a tundra, a swamp, something there. If I go ahead and do F3 and H again to, oh no, F3 and, I thought it was F3 and H. F3 and T? F3 and T. Reload the texture pack. And then if we were to do /locate biome, and we were to do, hold on, let me also make sure I don't forget my my home coordinates. I guess I could just do /kill, couldn't I? Well, go ahead, put you there. And what I'm thinking is /locate, and we do /locate biome. Let's go to a biome, snowy biome, snowy taiga. Sure, we'll go to the snowy taiga. And then let's go ahead and click on this one here, teleporting to the snowy taiga. What do we get? We get a look of, and I'm hoping to see, oh, this is super duper snowy. Where are the trees? Okay, here they are, here are the trees. Notice how they're not the black color. So that makes me wonder, where does the black come into play on the texture? In the draw texture here, and I could probably do a Google too to see, but the foliage texture here isn't what's at play. And I guess then, just wondering here, hide this guy. We show this guy here, save, reload. Are we going to get what I expect? If it is the case that the bottom left controls the trees, maybe the other one controls a different one. I'm not too sure, but good news is we can leave it for later. We don't have to modify it. We're just modifying the things we see at the moment, but I want to do my best to understand how these textures are made. So back into here, F3 and H, and F3 and T, I mean. And I'm guessing the trees are going to turn black. They don't. Interesting. Maybe these guys then have a different look to them entirely? I wonder. Okay, interesting to note. Last thing I want to do as an observation is double checking to make sure these guys are being saved. Yes, you are. Foliage. Oh, hold on. Foliage doesn't have a color. Hold on, I deleted that other side. Save that guy there. Okay, does that at all change anything? Hide that there, go that there, and then do F3T again, and we get... no, that doesn't change anything. Okay, and if I do /kill, bring us back to our home base. If the black guy is, yep, there we are. But you can see these guys aren't black. So one more check I want to do is if we set the entire texture to check, and set the entire texture to black, what do we get? If I grab that guy there and then enable you here, so you also get enabled to black. So I do that guy there, that guy there. If we enable you to black, save it, then do again here, F3 and T. What do we get? F3 and T. Entire black trees? No. Interesting. So I wonder what controls the color of the birch trees. Okay, hold on. Let's try another guy here. There's only one other texture I can think of that would control the birch trees. If it's not the foliage texture, is it the grass? No, it can't be the grass texture. Hold on. If I do new layer here, new layer, and then we go ahead and select you. Oh, hold on. Select you, and then we do select inverse. And I know you can't see it. It's A-okay on that matter, as the changes are super duper quick. I bring you back into here, F3T, and do we get black grass because of the variation? Interesting, but the birch leaves don't change color. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna do some Googling, see what I find. So, I did not, in fact, look into it by Googling. I wanted to see first if I could find the solution on my own, and it turns out there are specific leaf textures in the game that change how the color map works, I think. I'm looking here and I see acacia, I see azalea. I'm wondering why these guys are green, but the other guys aren't green. And then we have birch leaves pack. Let me open up this with note. What do we get? What does the note say? It says minimap strategy, dark cutout. Interesting, interesting. Okay, so I wonder if you would just change this map here and do it that way. So for example, if I were to drag and drop this guy into a sprite, what do we get? If I go then into, let's see here, back into draw. If we were to overlay this, oh, you can't see, hold on, wrong guy. The Chrome, that one, nope, that one. Which one is it? You know what? When I find it, well, oh no, I found it. There we go. Okay, so this guy here, this is the birch leaf texture. If I were to just make a new layer here, fill you into a black instead. This is grayscale. Interesting. Huh. All right, sprite, color mode. Nah, we're going RGB. Do that. And then we go ahead and save you here. If I were to do that, and oh, hold on, our foliage is also messed up. Let me also hide you here, save you again, just so that we're good to go there. And actually, let me modify the birch here instead. So textures, let me go find it. I'll set it to black, and then we'll see what the result gives us. Alrighty, would you look at that? It turns out that this sets it to the black color of the area if I set it to black. Now I question you, game. If I were to then instead change this to the color of red, what happens then? I'll go ahead and do F3 and T, and we get the thing of it looks red. Huh. So why is it then that the birch color leaves are set to black and white, but the oak and all the other guys aren't set to black and white? Okay, I got another idea. What if we were to, instead of changing the color, change the value, so up the value, darken the value? If we go back into draw here, let's give a go at hiding this guy. We'll duplicate him to make sure we don't lose him. And I'm going to do edit. We're going to go into adjustments, change the contrast, lower, or change the, what are we looking for? Lower this down, make it a little bit brighter to super duper bright. Click OK, click save. What do you think will happen? I think it's going to give us a super duper bright green because we set it to the bright color. So if we go back into, let's see here, back into Minecraft, and again, our handy dandy F3 and 7 here, or F3 and T, let's see what we get. We get, indeed, we get a super duper bright color. So it makes me wonder, where are we getting this bright kind of grayish color from? I ask. If we go super duper dark, what happens then? Let me just super duper quickly do that. I'll go back into Ace Right. You don't have to see this, as this will be a super duper fast, quick fix. If I change our brightness and lowered it down to dark color here, click OK, click save. Back into here, we go ahead and do F3 and T. Let's see what happens instead. We get a super duper darker color. Interesting. It really does feel like you just have to modify the trees around. This is just taking to the idea of color and everything else without even touching the other guys. I see here some greens I don't quite like for our idea, but right now we're just worrying about the color profile, so that's okay. And if, just double checking here, if I just were to remove this guy, save it to what it was, and then do again, let's see, F3 and T, we get, let's see here, yep, we're back to the regularly scheduled program of it being that color. So let's take a look at the foliage guy again. I'm quite curious to see. Back into here. If we go into the foliage guy here, there's these two colors, and then there's also the grass colors. Do you think this line here is responsible for the birch tree's lightness? I wonder if we were to just grab this guy here, so grab our regular color, copy you, do a new layer here, paste you, and I'm gonna select you, and then what I'm going to do, oh, if it lets me, I copy and then paste. Oh, hold on, what layer is this then? That's not that layer's gone. We don't need this layer, this is the black layer, this is black too. This is another layer entirely, that's our opposite layer. This should be the layer I'm trying to collect. Copy and then paste on that layer. Oh, it worked. We'll keep it. And then I'll go ahead, delete that layer here. We should be able to copy and then Control T to move it. And I want to rotate this guy. I want to rotate him 90 degrees if it will let me. So if I do this guy here, I can usually do a degrees rotation by, but it's not giving us the number to do. But I guess we could do, oh, here we are, rotation, 90 degrees, 90. Or it would be 180, wouldn't it? Hold on. 180 would be the rotation. So 180. We set that there, click save. if we go then into Minecraft, do we get a different color because we changed the opposite sides? So if we go, let's see, back into you here, what do we get, do you think? Back into here, F3 and T, and we get, I'm hoping that's the key here. No, the birch trees still look the exact same. Interesting. All right, then, we'll save that mystery for another day, and we'll start off by what we were supposed to be doing in the beginning here, by taking a look at yeah, I do like these colors. Let's go ahead and start off by modifying the top of the grass here. Let's choose that as our block to do, and hold on, was that a chest? Okay, I got excited for a second here. I thought it was maybe like a cool feature, not a cool feature, but a cool dungeon. But that said, let's go ahead and modify the texture now. I'll bring you back into draw here. With all of the knowledge we have acquired here, I'll go ahead and just hide this guy for now, show this guy here, and we'll save it there. We'll also grab our grass texture here, save it, and oh, that's the grass texture. I wonder why the white block exists there. How curious. And I'll go ahead and delete the birch since we don't need it anymore. What we're going to need is our grass texture block. So let me go ahead and drag and drop that one. It should be our oak. So if I go ahead and type in oak here, not oak, grass. If I type in grass here, we should get grass block top. This guy here. And what we're seeing is that, again, it has the grayscale look and idea. And I'm wondering, can we modify this? I am going to guess that this guy gets modified by the different greens, and depending on these values, that's what the color ramp would be, choosing these values from here. So if we were to, for example, do, I think, and we'll also set this to be a sprite color mode, set it to be RGB, we'll then also set you to be a layer, and then do new layer, post you on top, and if I were to do, I think, multiply, so multiply like this here, that would give us the idea of what the texture would look like. And I also wonder too, if we were to do this instead, and if we were to go to our foliage, if I'm understanding this correctly with pasting this down to redo all of this here, if this is just set to multiply layer, what do you think happens if we set our foliage or our grass layer to look like this? So if I do a new layer here, and I just paste this entire, hold on, let's see, is that the entire color? This looks like the same exact color, hold on. What are you? You're a normal layer, yes. Delete you and move you there. This should be the entire color. So let's see, grab you here, make sure you're select, inverse, so do something like that. And then we were to just choose one specific color, one single color, save you. Is this going to give us a grass that's going to look like this? Let's go back into Minecraft and check. So let's see, F3 and 7 once again, or F3 and T. Eventually I'm going to get this down. F3 and T, interesting. I think that is the green we're seeing, aren't we? If I go down here a little bit, the grass should now no longer have variation in its colors since we didn't give it variation. So if I go ahead and just take a screenshot, let's compare it to my guess of how it uses the multiply layer. If I bring you back into a sprite here, what are we seeing? It definitely is a lot darker than I thought it would be. But this grass compared to our grass here, it's not too different. It's maybe not using multiply and using like a, what would you call it? Not multiply, maybe it's using more of a black and white scale. So let's see if we can actually change the color here to look like, or this color to look like this color. So if it's not multiply that the game's using, maybe it's using lighten, maybe it's using screen, maybe it's using darken, maybe it's using, there's a few more. There's addition, there is overlay, there is soft light, there is, oh, hold on, soft light, there is hard light, there is difference, nope, definitely not, exclusion, nope, subtraction, nope, division, nope, hue, oh, hold on, hue here, saturation, there is hue, okay, there is color here, that doesn't give us it either, I'll have to do some looking into that, as it makes me wonder if it's just how it computes the different colors and chooses it differently. For now, we won't worry about it too much. We'll go ahead and try our best to make a cute looking texture like what you would imagine maybe something like these environments to have. I see that Slime Rancher here has a sort of patchy look to its grass. I've seen some other games use a different type of look to their grass, kind of a grass upwards. And the thing is, we're dealing in a 3D environment, so the grass is gonna look a little wonky because it's so flat looking, but it's still definitely possible to do a few things here and there. So what we're going to do is I'm first going to remove our grass guy here, go back to what it was. We'll go ahead and I think hide you here, save you here. And it's interesting too. There's a small variation between these guys, so it's something I'll certainly have to look into. And let me also slide this guy back up. let's go ahead now then, with that knowledge we have acquired, start on a grass texture. Now, I've done grass textures before, and this should be a lot of fun. I've done them before, but never something like this. I'll go ahead and make sure this is zoomed in so we can get a good preview of everything up here. Now, one thing to know about the grass textures is that they are a tile. So, since they are a tile, they must be treated as such. Let me slide this guy over here too, so you should be able to see it. Slide this guy down so I can see our layers. There we go. And with that said, we'll go ahead and do view. We'll do tile mode in both axes here, and this will give us a look of what the grass would look like in the environment, which should be good to go. We'll go ahead and remove this guy here. With that said, we know that this is our grass area. This is the single tile, and we'll want to make something that's tileable. And what I've noticed, at least when it comes to tiles, is you wanna, and if I can zoom out here and do a good guy, you wanna start off, or you wanna, and we'll just grab this color here to do our beginning. So this is the overlay, I think it is. Yes, indeed. Okay, that's all good to go. That's all fine and dandy. We'll just grab these colors, then modify them a little bit later. We'll start off with this as the color of choice, and maybe we'll go a little bit darker, so maybe a little bit green or something here instead. I do like that green. Okay, we'll keep that green, and we'll also save it in our color palette too, so I don't forget. Okay, so back on here. What I was talking about in terms of doing tile mapping, you would want to merge these things together in the sense of, if I have a little corner down here, you would want to have it come out a little bit. And the idea is that by making textures overlap in different areas, the hope is that you don't get something that looks like a repeated texture. I didn't do it well here, but you would want something to come up here, and then you would have it come down here, and then maybe you could have this guy slide over here and here. And this is how I've seen and how I've done previous textures for example, rocks. If you can manage to get the tile to break off on the edges, I find it makes the tiles a lot nicer in terms of seams. So with that said, we'll want to go for some sort of grassy feel here. And I wonder, I've only really ever tiled, what is it called? I've only truly ever tiled, what was it? Nope, stone. I've only ever tiled stone. So that's the only guy I have to work off of. So you know what? Let me see if I can find a quick tutorial, not an actual tutorial, but like a GIF tutorial, GIFs I've used in the past. If I go into, and I'll be back, I'll show you what I mean by tutorial. Here we are. This is what I meant by tutorials. Not so much videos, but the GIF tutorials. This one here specifically by, and I can never remember how to pronounce the name, but if you do like these, I'll also make sure to link both of these down. And while I thought to myself, yes, I can totally do this and not have to look at tutorials, I'm realizing I'm a little bit beyond my depth. So when help is needed, help shall arrive. And we can look at these two guys to figure out how we want to do our grass tiles. Now, right now, it is looking a little bit like a mushroom. So let's see. We have some leafy patterns we could do. We can start there. We can do clusters. We can just start with leafy areas. And I like the sound of that. Now, the question is, are our leaves usually darker? It does seem to be the case. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. And let's just try to create some sort of grassy texture. I do like the idea of that. So if we start off here by doing a few leaves here, maybe we add a little bit of a leaf here. And one thing I do enjoy doing is I like adding it. Oh, hold on. I like doing these little lightning bolt ideas. And remember, we're trying to go with the idea of cartoony. So I'm thinking maybe we can also add a little guy here. And maybe we can add in a little guy, this guy here. We're going as well, remember, to try to make it not look like it is part of some big texture. Or we're trying to make it feel seamless. So I'm adding areas to the edges here. And for example, we could add a little guy at the bottom too. We could then add maybe another guy here, possibly. Maybe then we could add a little guy up here. Have him then go up here a little bit. We can then add a little bit of a guy here. So maybe a super duper small guy. We don't want these to feel diagonal. So actually, let's see. This is a little bit diagonal. And then this up here is a little bit on the diagonal. So maybe we go for something here instead. And maybe we go for something about there-ish. And then maybe a little bit here-ish there. And then maybe a bit there. And we can do one more maybe up here. Something like that there, and add you there and there, maybe. I do see a few patches, but you know what? Let's keep it as is, or we can modify it a little bit more. Maybe something can go there, and then maybe, or actually undo that. I do like this. I think this works out a little bit more in our favor. Now the question is, the issue is that these guys are super duper dark compared to everything else. So we might grab this color here, go down a little bit more, slide over into our darker, cooler colors here, and we might be able to fill this in. Oh, hold on. Let me make sure contiguous is checked. Now do that there. I think it might be a little bit too much saturation. You can see the difference, right? And that's due to contrast. If I click on our contrast grayscale, you can see lots of contrast, fewer contrasts. And the hope is that we don't want this to feel too noisy. Right now, we're already dealing with high saturation, which in itself is, and when I say noisy, I mean just, it's in your face, it's screaming. We want this to be not a cozy game, but something that's not too in your face loud. So let's slide these guys over a little bit, make them darker. We want a bit of change in terms of our contrast, but not too much. I'm thinking this will be enough. And from there, what we can do is possibly we can go up here, slide over a little bit into our highlighty colors, and actually this is too much. Up a little bit here, slide over just a smidge here for a highlighted color, and I think actually, let's go a little less, just a smidge up here. Let's go, I definitely want it to feel yellow. We're going for cartoony. So something that can feel on the yellower side, maybe yellow look like this. I think that works out. And we can grab some of these colors here and maybe make it feel more like it's a yellow leafy color. So maybe we can do something like this here, that there. Maybe we can even do something there and there. Maybe we can make the leaf look like that there. That's not too bad. I do like the idea of maybe making it more blocky. So maybe we can do something like that. And then we can grab this green color here. And actually, before we do that, undo. Before we do that, let me also copy this as I will be updating the file so that we can have the different layers. So I'll go ahead and duplicate this guy. And then we'll go ahead and, oh, interesting that this here, what's this layer? This layer is set on multiply. Interesting. Interesting, huh? And this layer is not set on multiply. And if I move you down to, oh, they're both multiply. I see, got ya. Okay, understood. We'll paste this guy back here, undo, let's see, undo. Oh no, we're lost a little bit. Hold your horses here. We paste this guy, undo, redo. This is what we're dealing with. Copy you, and then undo you. So undo all of these guys here. Undo. Changing the colors, new layer, paste here. Okay. So this is our face. This is number 2. That's all I wanted to do. Well, then hide this guy, and we should get left with our green colors that we had initially. This should be set, I believe, to multiply as we saw before, so I'll also do that as well. And again, we'll have to worry about the colors changing and shifting, but for now, I believe that's this color here, and then that's this color here, and they change when they're overlaid. So we'll keep to this here, see how we go, and see how we feel. With that said, we can now continue without worrying about it being modified. So I'll go ahead and maybe add a little guy here, maybe add a little bit of a block here. Maybe then what we can do is add a little bit of a lightning guy there, maybe add a little bit of a lightning guy here. I want to go for something that definitely feels on the blockier side, but not too strict. Right now what I'm seeing is that these highlights of our greens are a little bit too much. So maybe we can up it a little less. So we can go up here. I definitely know I want it to be yellow feeling. So maybe we can go up here a smidge. Maybe we also modify some of these so that they're not too obvious. Maybe something like that there. Let's just do a check to see how this already feels in the game. It's saved already. So the moment of truth to see if we're even doing anything nice and neat here. We go into our Minecraft. We can go ahead. I can hide this guy here. And now for the, let's see. I do that. I believe we're back at our start. I do /kill and, oh no, not /kill. No need to die. We'll do F3 and T, and we get, let's see here. Interesting. And look at that. It definitely has a feel of foliage, but the issue is we're no longer dealing in the perspective that I usually deal with. So the grass looks a little off, doesn't it? It almost looks like some of the grass gets tilted in different directions. So that's interesting. Sometimes it looks like it's going the right way. For example, here and here, these 2 blocks. And actually, let me go back to game mode creative. I'm looking here, and what I'm noticing is these 2 blocks have the tile look, right? Those 2 there. But then you go to this one, and it's turned around a little bit. So that's interesting. Maybe then the case is that we don't go for something that looks right only from one perspective. We try to do something that looks right from all different perspectives. So be it from here or be it from here. Interesting. Maybe that's why Minecraft has more of a noisier look. Something like this here where you're looking at it from different angles. So let's give that a try. Go for something a little less detailed when it comes to these guys at least. Back into a sprite we go with the new knowledge that we have. So it makes me wonder if we keep the edges or do something else. We'll go ahead and duplicate this guy just so we have a new update. We'll call this guy number 3 and let's give it a go, shall we? So let's see. I am going to go ahead and let's remove you here. Remove all the highlights. We'll get rid of all of you. Let's set these guys instead to maybe be areas of patches. I'm thinking might be a little bit better. I saw something similar over here with the idea that some of these patched areas, the only issue is I think it's going to be modified and switched around and turned around. And if all else fails, I'm also would love to check out some Minecraft texture packs to see if this is what I'm thinking, and the reason why they do the things they do is, and I don't want to reinvent the wheel, but I definitely want to see and trial and error my way through all of this to understand what's going on. As I think that's super fun to do. It's a fun idea to try things out and understand why it broke, but give a shot at first attempting to do it. We'll go ahead and modify this guy here. I want to remove this there, and I'm thinking maybe if we just remove these guys here, make them come out a little bit more, so maybe you can come out here and here, something like that there. If we go for more of a patchy look to our grass and maybe have a patch here, and we don't want to do too many patchy looks, but it kind of looks now it's a polka dotted, so that's interesting. The grass is going to be a lot harder than I thought. Here I was, well, I already knew it was going to be hard, but it's a thing of, wow, you are very difficult. I'm wondering if we add in areas here, for example, make it look patchy in those separated areas, maybe now it won't look too awkward when it's in different sections. So if I go ahead and select these guys and just make it patchy in certain parts and we separate the different sections, do you think that'll make it look not as painful to see from different angles? So if I do some of these guys up and down in those places, and maybe we can do one more up here though, that does make it feel more like it is part of a grid. If I save this now, instead of the previous texture we had, what do you think it'll look like? Do you think it'll look different? Let me bring you back into Minecraft here, and let's take a look. If I go ahead and do F3 and T again, we get, let's see, we get patches. Now, I definitely do like this a lot more, but the issue is just it gets rotated. And by getting rotated, we get different block cutouts. So while typically the blocks will have different angles, interesting. Alrighty then. Since I've given my shot at it now, I want to take a look at how some Minecraft texture packs do it. Specifically, I already have one in mind. Minecraft. We can look at Whimscape. So if I go ahead and drag you back over to here, I can open up the Whimscape folder that I know I do have here, and let's take a look at how they do their grass. If I go into assets here, I should be able to pull it up, and once I pull it up, I'll be right back. Found it! Take a look at this. The way they do it, not only is the color and texture not in black and white, but it also is more of a spotted look. And oh, you know what we can do as well to test, I hope at least. Let's see if we can open up the texture pack in Minecraft itself to also get a feel for the texture pack. I want to make something similar, but still modified and tweaked to my own decision. But Whimscape is a texture pack that I truly do enjoy looking at. And if we click on this guy, let's see if it does load up. If it does not, that'll be a little bit unfortunate, but we do get it. And when you look, I see. By having it spotted, it definitely adds a more, what's the word I'm looking for? The feel's definitely different. Okay, well then, let's look at another pack here. They go for dotted. Dandelion is another one of my favorite packs. So Whimscape uses a dotted method. Dandelion here uses a, oh, I see. They go with the shapes idea. Super duper simple. I'm overcomplicating it is what I'm realizing. Keep it super duper simple. We also have one here, I believe we should have at least one more, Excalibur. And Excalibur is a texture pack that is more on the realistic side, but these are all still, what's the word I'm looking for? 16 by 16? So let's look at one more here. How do they do their grass? It's going to be, I believe, on the more realistic side. They do patches of leaves. I got ya. Okay, yeah, I'm thinking about this a little bit too much. I need to think in terms of patches. Let's try again. Let's go back into draw here and go at this with now a different approach. Now that we kind of understand what's going on a little bit here, my approach was, it was an idea, you know, it was a thought, but if we were to want to make something a little bit on the sweeter side, what we would have to do first is go back, and I'll also duplicate this since this is already our third try. Let's make sure we have a fourth try. So duplicate you, and we'll set this to number 4 here, save it, hide it here. Let's now try to do a little bit of something different. What I'm thinking is we'll go ahead and fill this guy up. What if we were to do, and actually hold on, let me grab these colors here, hide and then show again. Oh, hold on, wrong guy, there we are. This color here, what we've noticed is that sometimes there's blocks and patches and areas, but they don't stay as connected as they could be. And I'm actually curious to see as well, if we go ahead and make this into a symmetry mode or tiled in both axes, this definitely does tile. It feels like it does tile, or at least it doesn't feel like anything is out of place, which is interesting. Okay, well then, let's go ahead back to our guy here. let's try to make small areas and kind of just pepper things. So I'm thinking let's just go as wild as we can and then modify things as we go along. I think that'll be the key here. We need a lot of different textures, a lot of different variation to get the feel of the block. There's a lot going on here, and I do want to simplify it, but I also do want to make it look on a little bit of interesting side. So maybe we can do something like this here, and we can go a little bit crazy with it now that we know that we don't have to be super duper perfect. So maybe we can do something like that there, cover this up a little bit. Now, I don't want to make it look like, what is it called? I don't want to add dots to it. And actually, you know what? Let's fill this in. I'll grab that color, then fill this in. Let's add patches this way. I think this might be a little bit easier. Or no, I take it back. Adding dark patches is, I think, easier. So we'll go back to here, swap it back over. Okay, now, dark patches is what we're going for. So let's see, patch here maybe, add a little bit of a patch here, add a little bit of patch there, a little bit of patch there. It's a little wacky, we can definitely clean it up. So what I'm thinking is, we'll modify this guy here, smidge, and maybe add a little bit more of a patching there. Just go in a little bit, and go in a little bit more, and modify it so it's not too similar. But I'm looking to make it so that we don't have a lot of green in a certain area. So I'm looking at this guy over here, and I'm then going back to our areas here to see, okay, where is there a lot of green at? Where can we modify this a little bit? And I think that's good to go. We can do something like this. Now, let's go and select our green. So if I grab you here, this specific green, let's try to add some lighter colors like we did before. So if I go back up here, go up to here, this kind of light green, and see if we can pepper it in. I'm not sure if we can or what it'll look like if we do, but I want to see about peppering it a little bit here and there. Something like maybe this here, this here, this here. Like that, though I think we can modify it so it's not too similar again. So let's try to do something maybe here, 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 and here. And I don't want to make it feel too much like a square, so we might do that and that in those areas. Something like that there. Though, I think that we can modify these because, again, we don't want it to feel too much of that color. So I'm gonna maybe, let's see, box off this guy a little bit here, maybe box off that guy a little bit here. Maybe then we can box off this guy a little bit because they're blending in. Box off that guy a little bit. Maybe we can then maybe do up here a smidge. And I don't want them to have really long areas or go up and down. So I'm also making sure the patches that we have aren't either squares and they're just lines or dots. I think that's the best way to go. So we'll also add a line here. Line, dot. I don't think our corners or triangles will work out well. But now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, I think our lines are a little bit too funky. So I might instead remove any 3 lines. So we can maybe remove a line there, remove a line there, remove a line there. I do like that a little bit better. Now let's go ahead and select our green here, our darker green. We'll select that, make you a little bit darker, slide you over a little bit more. And let's also do the same here where we'll add a few patches here and there. Not too many, but we're looking to add a little bit of variation. So maybe a few of these going on, though we can remove some of them. So maybe we can do a bit here, maybe a bit here. And I'm just hoping this won't look like vomit when we're done. We'll go ahead and remove those. I'll go ahead and save you. With that said, we'll go ahead and select our green again. Let's choose maybe a lighter green now. So we'll go up a little bit more, maybe slide over a smidge more. And oh, actually, that's not a different green, is it? Grab you here. We'll slide you over up again. Maybe go up here a smidge and over there. Yeah, that could work. And we'll do that. We'll add a bit of a patch here, I think. Maybe then also a bit of a patch here. And maybe we'll also add a bit of a patch here. Yeah, I think the only issue is just going to be the difference in colors. So maybe what we do then is grab this green and grab that green. We go into our edit. We go into our adjustments here. Let's maybe turn down either the saturation or the brightness or do something here. Something like that I think would work out well. Yeah, look at that. It's a small difference, but I definitely think it helps. We have this, or hold on, we have this, and then we have this. I do like that. Okay, now, granted, because it's green, it's not going to be too similar. But if we add the grayscale overlay just as a reminder to what it should be, we go back into the game. Let's take a look again with our modifications, with our observations. What are we seeing? If we bring you back into, let's see here, gaming, I go ahead and change the resource pack back to our, let's see, didn't I call it? Yeah, I called it Into the Woods. Into the Woods. Let's see how well this works now. And we get something like this. Oh, that's not too shabby. Granted, I think the colors could be different, but all in all, not too bad. Now, I wonder if we didn't export it with grayscale, how it would look. And we're definitely going to have to change the colors more so that it's more of that bright green that we have. But all in all, not too shabby, especially for the first texture, F3 here and do F3 and T. And I thought we'd be able to do 3 different textures. Not quite, and oof. Yeah, this is gonna have to be modified. Okay, let's play with the colors a little bit more. all in all, though, I do quite like this. Maybe my issue is just, well, it does feel fuzzy, doesn't it? I do like the fuzzy feeling. Interesting. Okay, well then, let's remove some lines, possibly do it that way, or do a few highlights here and there. All in all, though, not too bad, not too bad. Let's just modify the color so that it's not this, or yeah, let's see if we can get colors more akin to this here, this sort of yellowy color. I just need to figure out how the game is doing its color overlays. And it's also interesting to note here how there's whites going on and dark blues, so I wonder. It makes me ponder most certainly the different colors and how the color ramps work. What I can show you as well is the Whimscape color ramp, as I did take a look at that. I was curious while I was looking in the folders. Take a look at how Whimscape does their color ramps. If I go back into here, their color maps, this is what their foliage, oh no, hold on, that's mine. Hold on, let me find it. I'll drag and drop it and then I'll show you. Okie dokie, here we are. This is what Whimscapes looks like. We have, oh, I closed it. We have its foliage and then we also have the grass. Isn't that interesting? Their grass looks a lot different than the Minecraft grass. I see this grass here and the Minecraft grass looks like this here. Their grass is on the cooler side, so it makes me wonder if we were to just do entirely a gradient, do you think that would work? If we go back into our grass block here, our grass colors, and instead we were to take our two different colors. So this, hold on, if I go back to, let's see here, grab our brightest color, grab our darkest color here. So these two different colors. Then we go back into our grass block, and that's a Minecraft grass block we didn't even get to, which is a surprise. And then I do a new layer here. We're gonna do something a little bit different. And I'm double checking here with the Whimscape. Light here, dark here. A little bit darker here too. So back into our grass guy, this guy right here. If I go ahead and just double checking, oh, okay, I see. Is this the grass block we're looking for? Is this a princess in another castle sort of deal? Let me just double check to make sure this is the file that we should be modifying. Make sure it's the one we should be modifying. Give me a second, I'll go check. It was, in fact, not, but I now have the file here, so we should be good to go. What I was saying was, I wanted to do a new layer here, and with the two colors we have, we're gonna do a thing that's a bit of a big no-no when it comes to pixel art. Usually, people say when you do gradients, you want to add dithering, but we're not gonna do a dithering. We're not adding dithering. When we do our gradient, we're just going to use the no dithering option, and then we're gonna swap this guy over. Maybe make it about halfway here, and we can also expand it out a little bit more and then grab these colors here. So maybe do something like, let's see, that there. Then we'll save our grass color. See if that at all makes a difference for our foliage here. And we also make sure you're grayscaled. Save it to that there. And then let's go back into Minecraft and see if that fixed the change at all. If we were to change the color ramp around. So F3 and T. Oh, F3 and, no, that was right. F3 and T. Yeah, there we are. Okay. And now we get darker color. Interesting. It's not got that limey feel, but I want a lime. We're not getting a lime at the moment. So it makes me wonder, do we have to go even higher? Or what exactly do we have to do? Do we have to make the darkness even darker maybe? So if I were to do this, and then I just want to try this out. We do a super bright lime color, and I'll bring you back into Ace Bright so you can see too. So if this wasn't too intense, oh, hold on. Wrong guy, that needs to be this screen here, that one. That's the screen you should be on. This one here. If we were to do a new layer here, and then we do our dithering again, we do really big color differences. So this into this here, what do we get instead? I'll go ahead and that, save it. Let's take a look at Minecraft now. Back into you here, and then we'll go ahead and do F3T, and we get, let's see here, darker color still. Interesting. Are we making sure to change the actual grass PNG, or am I looking at this differently? That's this grass PNG. That's that grass PNG. We are modifying our current grass PNG, but something's still not working. Okay, last check I want to do is I want to copy this guy off of this grass, paste you into here, just out of curiosity, save it, then we'll go back into you here, and we'll do F3T, do another check, and we get this. Interesting. Okay, and I know for certain we did this check before, but if we were to set the grass as just entirely black, that should automatically make this guy entirely black. If we're doing this correctly, if we're following up to date, it does. Good to know. Okay, and if that is the case, I know the color ramp is supposed to change the different green colors. So it makes me wonder, if saturation isn't the name of the game, what if we were to do a different color mixture? If we go back into here, I can show you what I mean. What if instead we were to do a paler color like this? So if I go ahead and hide you here, we do our color ramp guy here, so our gradient tool here. And then we were to do something like this instead. Oh, hold on. Let's see if we can make it a little bit more of a gradient. Something about there. And let's save it. Back into, you know the drill by now. Back into Minecraft. We'll click on you here, click on you here. F3 and T, and we get, drum roll please, something like this. Interesting. Okay, that's definitely closer, but we're looking for something a little bit more violent, and these darker colors here also are a little bit too dark for my liking. I would like them to feel a little bit merged in. So, you know what? Actually, let me, how can we do this? I feel like there's a way I could merge the Minecraft into two screens together. That way I wouldn't have to bring you back and forth all the time. Okay, how about I grab this guy here, and then I grab this here, I grab Minecraft here, and then paste you into here, and then I can go ahead and make you smaller here, so we can get a bit of a look to see what the difference is. That might make it easier to see instead of swapping back and forth. What I want to do here is I want to see about if we were to edit this guy here, and we were to change the saturation. So up our saturation, and also maybe change our Q to be more yellow. So something about here, and up our saturation, up super duper high. Click OK. Then in Minecraft, we do F3 and T. Oh, hold on, F3, it's F4, is it F4 and T? No, F3 and T. There we are. We reload everything. What do we get? Okay, that's more similar to what I want. If we go back to our foliage here, you should be able to see, this is the initial green I want. Never mind, that's not at all what I want. It seems to be more of a cooler green, and also, hold on, I want to lower the contrast of this green too. So let's go ahead and do sprite. Let's go to our adjustments, contrast here, lower down the contrast a little bit to maybe make it a little bit, oh, is this the right layer? Lower down contrast, up the contrast. Interesting. Okay, set you back to what you were, lower this guy down, and that doesn't lower our contrast, which is interesting. Lower down our brightness, maybe up our brightness, lower down our contrast, maybe make it a little bit more something like this here. I do think that works out a little bit better. Save you here, go back into our grass guy. So, okay, if we know that gives us more of a orangey yellow type of feel, maybe we need to go into the blues. So what if we do this color here, and then we were to do this color up here? Would that give us more of a bluey look to our grass, since this gives us more of an orangey color? So if I go ahead and we grab this guy again, we do a new guy here, and we were to do this here instead, something like this, and we do about that there. Save it, go back into Minecraft, reload. Let's see. So F3 and T, do we get bluegrass now? It's closer to what we want, surprisingly. Interesting. Okay, well, we take a look at this. It's definitely not the saturation we want, but it definitely feels closer to what we want. It's just not yellow, or it's not super duper bright. So if we do sprite, and I'm curious to see as well, if we were to do full yellow here and then alternate and do full green, what color would that give us, do you think? I know I'm just trial and erroring in here, but we'll see. We'll do this guy here, we'll do that guy there, then we'll go ahead and set these guys' color to about here-ish maybe, and maybe if we go down here, it'll modify it a little bit more. Save again, then do back to here, F3 and T. We get, let's see, you. Is that closer to what we want? Hold on, that's this color here. And this color, is that similar to our color? That's pretty similar, but ours is more of a kind of bluish tone. So there's a blue going on, an underlying blue in our darker tones. So I'm wondering, the blue, I'm going to guess, if we click on Minecraft again, the blue is going to be that darker green color. If we go into our grass here, if we were to set this grass to be more of a blue color here, delete you, and then we were to go you here for our gradient tool and do something more like this, maybe even a little bit more on the blue side, undo, and do something like this, so about here-ish, and save. And then we were to go back into Minecraft. What does that give us? F3 or F3 and T. If we add more blue into our hues, interesting. Okay, that's not what we want. And I'll keep on screen what we want as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mess around with this a little bit more. I'll make this a time lapse so you don't have to worry about sitting through this, and you'll see the differences. As yeah, I want to mess around with this a little bit more, see if I can get the right color I'm looking for, and I will let you know if I do trial or error this. done yet, but I did want to note something as I'm doing all of these. This is quite a pretty blue, isn't it? It's not what we're looking for. This is supposed to be the darkest gray color, but isn't it pretty? What I realized, and just a smidge of an update, is these colors here are supposed to represent this here when the grayscale is enabled. So because all of our colors are in this area, I think that's why they are in that blue area, since that's where the blue area relies on. And I really don't know anything about color ramps, and probably watching a tutorial video on this would be helpful, but it's time for that. I have more time for sitting here for 4 hours straight and figuring this out. Easy. With that said, what it makes me wonder is, if we were to just eyedrop the colors from this here, do you think it would give us the color ramp colors that we're looking for? That's to say, if we wanted our guy here, this lime green, to be our brightest color, and then this guy to be our darkest color, and let's just double check here with our grayscale, that should be our darkest color. Yes, it is. Okay, so we grab those two colors and then go back to our grass PNG here. We delete our test ramp, so I delete that guy there, hide this overlay, and then if we were to go here and oh, hold on, we need to set the selection to be, what is it, outside of it. So I need to do undo, actually redo our test ramp here, grab this guy then and do select, and then do inverse, and then delete him, and oh, hold on, new layer, and then we can go ahead and add it on top. Okay, so I was saying, if we go ahead and hide you here to make this easier to see on us, never mind, we just keep it on that one. And with that said, if we were to add our gradient here, and we want our bluish green to show off, then we're gonna need to have some wild differences depending on the areas. And then we go ahead and save this guy. This is going to be our darkest color, right? So what I'm thinking is, we go to our grayscale here, and we choose the colors from here. So for example, since this color is our brightest color, we're going to just have to modify it from there. If I go back into our grass block, the one we're looking to get the colors of, and I go ahead and duplicate you, let's start choosing the colors depending on the area. So this is our brightest color. I'm going to go ahead and fill this in for our brightest bit. The next one is going to be this one here. Oh, let's do the darkest one first. So that's our brightest. And then our grayish color, the one that we're trying to find, is this one here. So let's go ahead and grab that as our darkest color. So that's going to be this color here. We go back to there, and we go ahead and make our darkest color this color here. Next up, and let me just double check that that is our darkest color. Our actual darkest color is this color here. Interesting. Okay, with that said then, we'll go ahead and make this our darkest color then. So it seems next up is going to be a little bit lighter. So maybe we go for this guy here, something about in that area. And then we go to this here, and we make sure that this is the next one up. And then if we go up a little bit more, so we go to about this color here, then we select our guy. We can go ahead and close this. That was the windscape. And then we go back to our color ramp, and we were to choose this color here for the next color, then this is going to be the second brightest. So we can do about here. And then if we set it to that there, this should hopefully be more fateful than the grayscale we did here. And it does look different. I can give it that. This grayscale guy here, if we just look between these two, there's this one and then there's this one. There's small differences, but if this works in the way I hope it will, we'll get something more similar to this. So I'll go ahead and save this. I'll then go ahead and save this. And let's go back into Minecraft and see. This is my estimated guess. I don't know if this will work. I have 20%, okay, oh good, 60% hope in it. A smidge of hope, not too much though. You never want to do too much. That leads to sadness. So let's go ahead and do F3, was it F3.4? Or no, F3T, is it? F3T, yes, F3T, correct. Okay, and we get something like this. Interesting. So it didn't do the thing I thought it would do, but it doesn't look too bad, truth be told. Okay, I'm gonna mess around with this a little more and see if I can understand what went wrong. Alrighty, well, it's interesting of note that even if we were to choose the yellow or the white as our brightest color, we would still not get that green that we're looking for, which is interesting to note. I wanted to say based off of the color ramp here, what color we would get. So it's odd that it puts it up here instead. And this up here is not part of our area. It gives us more of like a, I guess a green in this bit here. So it makes me wonder, if we were to flip this guy by 90 degrees like we did before, would we get something else? I'll go ahead and paste them, and then we'll go ahead and rotate him. And then if I were to just grab our guy here, rotate it about 90 degrees, and this is going to be 180 if we remember. So 180, save that there. do we get anything different? Is this still going to be this kind of, I don't even know what color would it be, kind of like a pear color, I guess? F3 and T, or hold on, F3 and F3 and then T, or hold on, F3 and then F4T? No, it's F3T? Yes, okay. We did it, and we get still the same color. That's probably why there's a slash there to begin with. Okay, all right. Okay, I'll keep tinkering. Okie dokie. So, upon further testing, I have concluded I have no idea what I'm doing. Which is to say that, since I have already tried the trial and error method, I've messed around for it a little bit longer, I'm gonna look into seeing if I can find some research for color ramping, things of that nature, and see what I can find so that we can figure this out a little bit more next week. But that said, if you do know about color ramping and things of that nature and have more knowledge than I well, really only have to like 1% more knowledge than I have at the moment, but should you have it, please feel free to comment it down below, as I'd love to give it a read. But that said though, thanks for coming, thanks for joining with me and struggling, and we'll eventually at least get to see this. I want to put this in the game. It might look awful, as I've already noticed. High saturated colors, when you see them everywhere, they hurt a little bit, but I at least want to say I put this in the game. We're gonna have it happen. But that said, that'll conclude episode 1. Thanks for coming, thanks for joining. I hope you have a lovely time doing whatever it is you get up to, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye-bye!